Thank you, and a word of thanks to Fourth Wave for inviting me to come to the conference here today. It's a great pleasure and joy to be with you here, especially to focus on the future of the young people right here in the present moment. It's the work that we're doing. The office that I represent is the Dicastery, or Office for Promotion of Integral Human Development. And so it's instituted by Pope Francis a year and a half ago. It's the newest and largest dicastery or office structure in the Vatican. And it focuses in a particular way on people on the peripheries. That's at the heart of Pope Francis's message and desire for his church, to reach out to people on the peripheries. And so we cover migrants and refugees in Syria. We cover people that are in disastrous situations, so Catholic Relief Services, Caritas International, anybody that suffered some intense difficulties. Our dicastery covers that. But more than that, we also cover the most internal and intimate things. And so the integral human development that Pope Francis had in mind when he instituted the dicastery comes from all the previous popes, St. John Paul II, Pope Benedict XVI, even back as far as Paul VI. We're talking about integral human development, but it's a concept that goes all the way to the heart and the very beginnings of our own church and our Catholic faith. And basically, it's the worldview that has two different worlds at the same time. And so the Catholic worldview incorporates the visible world that we can see. It's obvious, it's all around us all the time. But we also incorporate the invisible world that is just as real, the spiritual world. And so in the creed that we profess as Christians, not just Catholics, but Christians throughout the world profess belief in a creator who made all things visible and invisible. So we include both of those two things. And yet when we're here today to talk about drug addiction, drug abuse, and the scourge of drug trafficking, we have to start with the visible world. So the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, every year puts out an annual drug report. It gives all the stats of what's happening in the world. And the statistics are awful disturbing, they're devastating. When you look at the numbers, 29.5 million people in the world, 29.5 million, are abusing drugs to the extent where they need therapy or some kind of help to get them out of it. The UNODC report goes on to say that 1 out of 6 of those people, 1 out of 6, actually gets the therapy they need. So 5 out of 6 of that 29.5 million people are not getting the therapy and the help they need to get off drugs. And the results are devastating. So disabilities, premature deaths. In the United States alone, the stats say that more people die from opioid misuse than from automobile accidents. So over 40,000 people in the United States every year die in automobile accidents. More people, most of them young people, die from opioid misuse. And so it can be so devastating, the numbers can be so daunting, that I think the response of a lot of people in the world today is to say, that's just the way that it is, and we just have to learn to deal with it. And thanks be to God that what we're doing here today does not move in that direction. That's not our response. No one here today expressed that in any way possible. You believe that there is hope. That word was used earlier today. And I'd like to focus in a particular way on that word, which is a spiritual reality. You can see the effects of hope in the visible world, but it's a spiritual virtue. It's invisible. And it challenges us to focus in a particular way on the development of integral human life that Pope Benedict XVI focused on in a particular way. Benedict XVI, in his encyclical letter, Caritas in Veritate, Charity and Truth, said that there is no authentic human development that leaves out the spiritual part. And so it's not possible to say I have a human development in the world around me if I'm ignoring the spiritual life. So it's so essential and so important to have that development of the soul and the spiritual. One of the great writers in the English language, C.S. Lewis, said once, if you look at the world that we live in, the men and women of every denomination, not just the Christian faith, every denomination, the men and women that did the most for this world were the men and women that thought mostly of the world to come. He said, if you aim at heaven, then you'll get earth thrown in with it. If you aim only at the earth, then you'll get neither. And that's a true reality, that the more we focus on just trying to make our own world a better place on our own, we realize we have limited resources. We need help from the outside. Pope Francis in 2014, in his address to the Pontifical Academy for Life on the subject of narcotics, spoke about drugs as a modern form of slavery. He said, drugs have inflicted a deep wound in our society and ensnared many people in their web. Many victims have lost their freedom and have been enslaved to them, enslaved by an addiction that we could call chemical. And he said, there's lots of reasons for that. There's the absence of family life. It's a definite factor we've talked about here today. There are social pressures. There is the propaganda and the empty promises of drug dealers that are constantly telling people, this will make you feel better, it'll make your life better. But he said, one of the things that we have to focus on in a particular way is the invisible reality of the soul. And what he said was quite powerful. He said, every drug addict, everyone, has a unique personal story and must be listened to, understood, loved, and insofar as possible, healed and purified. We cannot stoop, he said, to the injustice of categorizing drug addicts as if they were mere objects or broken machines. Each person must be valued and appreciated in his or her dignity in order to enable them to be healed. He said the dignity of the person is what we are called to seek out. They continue to possess more than ever a dignity as children of God. So even in the midst of addiction, even in the midst of a life that seems to be ruined, he's saying these are not broken objects. These are persons created in the image and likeness of God. And that's the vision of Pope Francis. I would conclude with that for integral human development. That we are created for greatness. We're created for glory. We're created for great things. And to eliminate the focus of the spiritual and to see only this world, to see only the material, visible reality, is to lose out on the full development of the human person, what we're all called to be. And I conclude with this quote from Pope Benedict XVI. He says, it's a development that requires new eyes and a new heart, capable of rising above a materialistic vision of human events and capable of glimpsing in development the beyond that technology cannot give. By following this path, it is possible to pursue the integral human development that takes its direction from the driving force of charity and truth. Thank you for your time.